Everyone talks about the best objection handling word tracks, but it's not that black and white. And since you're here and you clicked on this video, that shows that you're smarter than that. You know it's not just a matter of sexy word tracks to be able to swindle this person over. But you may not know why you're losing deals that should be closing to very simple objections at the end. And the truth is that objections are much, much deeper than you probably think. They're deep-rooted psychological patterns that control and have been controlling how this person makes decisions. And until you can get to the root of the psychological pattern that's prevented them from moving forward, you're not going to get them to move forward. And even if they do, they're not going to do what's required to actually see success. I made another video about this where we talked about rationalizing. This is part 2 of a 3-video series about the deep psychological patterns that control how people make decisions and how you can listen for them, get ahead of them, and not let them get in the way of the sale at the end. After taking thousands of calls myself and reviewing hundreds and hundreds of them, I've been able to train my ear to know what to listen for so I can know the right conversations to have based on the limitations that they may be showing me. And so I got my nicotine, I got my caffeine right here. So without further ado, let's dive straight in. So there's 3 main cognitive patterns that get in the way of people making decisions that they need to make and that ultimately hinder them from making buying decisions, which is fucking your sale. There's rationalizing, there's procrastinating, and then there's their relationship with time and money. And so I made a video about rationalizing. I'll put that in the description somewhere if you didn't see that. But today we are going to talk about procrastination and perfectionism, how it shows itself, how to prevent it, and then you're gonna hear a live call of me breaking it down. So to really get the full value of this video, to be able to execute it, you're gonna wanna hear what is behind it, you're gonna wanna hear how to listen for it, and then you're gonna listen to the end where I break down a live call of someone giving that to me, where I collected $8,000 with no objections at the end, which would not have been possible if we didn't have this particular part. But before we do that, if you want to fast track your progress so that you don't need to watch a million YouTube videos like this to get right, I have a few slots left for my one-on-one coaching. I work very closely with everyone. And because I pour so much of my own time into each student, I can't work with a million of you at once. So click the link below, see if you qualify. If so, I'll see you inside. So again, we're gonna talk about procrastination today, but in order to do that, you have to understand what procrastination even is in the first place. And so according to an article published by McLeanHospital.org, you know this shit's legit because it ends in .org, procrastination is defined as self-defeating behavior marked by short-term benefits and long-term costs. In other words, many of us know it as putting things off that we know we need to get done, no matter the level of difficulty behind the task. You just put the shit off, right? And so it's important for you to understand what procrastination is so that you can understand the forms of it and how it may be masked and how it may show itself on calls. And so one of the most common ways is perfectionism. According to a study done by psychnet.org, there are case accounts that make it clear that the combination of procrastination and perfectionism, when experienced at the personal level, can be debilitating and can result in significant alteration to the person's life. So to niggify this, procrastination and perfectionism rule the person's decision making. And until they can overcome that, they will stay in this loop and they will never get to where they want to get to. And so if you don't challenge them on this, if this isn't handled early on in the call, that's when you go on to hear shit like, I need to think about it, I need to pray on it, I need to sleep on it, I never make decisions like this. All the different ways that they're gonna button up that objection. Now, the thing is, in order to attack it, you have to know what it sounds like, right? What type of language may this person use? And so you've probably heard all this shit on your calls. I didn't do anything because I didn't know where to start. Or I'm the type of person who needs to have all his I's dotted and all his T's crossed before doing anything. Or I want to make sure that if I do it, I'm doing it right. Or I don't want to go and start and then it doesn't work out. Or I've only been doing research, right? These are all different ways that this person is telling you, I struggle with procrastination. I struggle with the level of perfectionism, which has held me back. They say it throughout the call. You got to listen for that shit though. So where does this come from? Simple. It comes from a fear of failure. And that fear of failure is what you need to attack on your calls and what I'm going to show you me attacking later on. In their minds, doing nothing is better than failing. But what they need to realize is that doing nothing is failing. And in an empowering and respectful way, we need to show them that their inaction has been a failure, which is their biggest fear. And if we can show them that their current behavior has actually led to their biggest fear, then they're not going to continue to act in alignment with that current behavior. I hope I'm not losing y'all. Stay with me. Stay with me. So how do you help them overcome this? Well, first, you need context around how bad their situation is. You need to dig deep. You need to probe. I have a whole video on this. I'll link it somewhere as well if you don't know how to probe and how to get deep. But that's really fucking important. But once you've uncovered how fucked their situation truly, truly is, then you're gonna ask them, what steps would you say you've taken towards overcoming it? What have you done? What steps would you say you've taken towards losing weight, towards making more money online, towards having better leads? Whatever the problem that you're solving, right? Towards getting a better job if you're selling career coaching. What have you done? And then they're likely going to say something along the lines of what I listed before. I've only been doing research. I didn't know where to start. I want to make sure that it's right before I start. And so the first thing you're going to ask them is, okay, and like, what do you think has prevented you from, I guess, taking steps outside of just research? And they're going to be like, oh, I wanted to make sure that everything was, my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed. And I wanted to make sure that it was right before I did anything. And then what I love to use is the overweight analogy in this sense. So I'd be like, okay, let's think about an overweight person, right? Let's say they've been overweight for 5 years, and the last 1 year, they've done a bunch of research on the best exercises, the best diets, and the best cardio regimens, and all this different shit. And they have all the research done for the last year, but they never did anything because they wanted to wait until they had the perfect routine. Had that person started a year ago, right now, a year later, do you think that they would be in a better place, or do you think they'd be in a worse place, even if they took imperfect action? And then they're going to be like, well, obviously they'd be in a better place. Okay, why do you think they would? Well, because they did something, because they actually took action. And then you're going to be like, that's right. Now, when we look at your situation right now, is it fair to say that maybe we haven't been as proactive, or maybe there's been like a little bit of paralysis analysis going on? Again, if you did this right, they're going to agree. They're not always going to agree though, and this is why we are not talking about just word tracks. We're talking about understanding where it actually comes from, because there's going to be a chance that they try to fight it and they say, no, doing research is just fine. And then we're going to flip the script. We're going to show her that her not doing anything is actually failing, because again, with the overweight person, if they would have done something a year ago, they would have fucking lost weight by now, or they would have at least been closer to their goal weight. And we're going to ask, do you see how this analysis paralysis we're talking about, do you see how that's kept you stuck? Yes. Okay, how so? They're going to justify it. And then you're going to ask, are you ready to overcome that way of thinking of, I have to do a bunch of research before I take action? They're going to say yes. You're going to say, why now? They're going to justify it even more, and then you're going to ask for permission to keep them accountable. Okay, if that way of thinking were to show itself, would we, as your coaches, have your permission to keeping you accountable? Yes. Okay, are you sure? Because I'm not always this nice, right? And when you say permission for accountability, that means, do I have permission to fucking objection handle you if you try to get me that shit at the end? So you're probably sitting there now and you're like, okay, this kind of makes sense conceptually, but how do I actually take this to a call? How do I do this live when I'm in the game? Like I said, we're about to break down a call of me doing exactly this for a woman who had been stuck in her own way for the last 2 years. I helped her overcome it. She actually thanked me at the end. And this happens pretty fucking often that people thank me at the end of their calls. And so before we dive into this live call here, something that's really, really important is congruency. You have to first overcome your own objections before you can help anyone else overcome theirs. This is key. It's the law of the mirror, because if you don't overcome your own objections, then there's not going to be any weight behind you handling theirs. You're just going to be saying shit that has no substance. If you are the type of person who's been saying, I'm going to do more research, or I want to have all my I's dotted and T's crossed, or you're giving yourself excuses for delaying action for something that you know you need to do, good luck trying to help this person get out of their own way when you're in your own fucking way. You have to take extreme ownership over your results in your life, and you have to be committed to mastery first to give it to the other person. And so if you've made it this far and you've been listening to me yelling at a camera for like 13 minutes now, that means that you have a level of commitment already. So if you want to take it to the next level and have me watch your calls so that you can implement this stuff correctly and get 5K PIFs like Danik did here when he was consistently getting think about it at the end of his calls, click the link below, see if you qualify for one-on-one coaching. Let's dive into the call. Kind of see where you're at. So I'm glad you brought that up there. And how long have you been, I guess, seeing the inconsistency and knowing that something needs to change? Like, how long has that been going on? Boom. After I have the context around how fucked her situation is, which for her, she was dealing with a bunch of inconsistency. Okay, how long has that been going on for? That's step one.
I kind of just decided that that I wasn't going to scale about 2 years ago, but then I lost my father, and I've been dealing with
Mm.
that for like the last year. But then I also got to see from not being active in my business that I can leave those income streams there, and they still do bring in some money without me even actively being in my business. So I learned a lot from that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's also kind of where it got me to, okay, maybe I can be hands off on this for a while to go start something else up. And
Mm-hmm.
I,
So very subtle here, but she just deflected her lack of action to her pop's passing. Now, RIP to her dad, but that's not a reason to not do anything, right? Let's keep going.
that's beneficial to my whole business as a whole.
Okay, and firstly, sorry about your dad. You said this was about a year ago, is when.
About 2 years ago, I just started noticing no matter what I did, it's just because there's only a certain amount of homeschoolers, and of course that space is growing, and as much
Mhm.
as it's growing, so are more people coming in with resources for homeschoolers. So
Yeah,
it kind of got flooded after COVID with
yeah.
a lot of people flooding our market. So yeah, I've been thinking about this for some time.
Okay, so about 2 years. And in that 2 years, what steps would you say you've taken towards maybe pivoting into something that can give you more consistency? Like, what would you say you've done?
So we know how long it's been, right? We know that her dad dying is the reason she hasn't done anything, which I'll get to in a second. But I want to understand what steps that she's taken. So that is now step two. What have you done towards overcoming this?
I've done a lot of research in the different areas. I've
Ah, don't let that go over your head. She's done a lot of research. That's not action.
thought about buying an existing brick and mortar business, but I'm so a work from home person. I can't stand the idea of getting up and going anywhere.
Sure. I get you.
I mean, I'm just too spoiled from being able to do my own work from home on my own schedule. So, yeah, I've done a lot of research, and I know I either want to invest in something, buy a business, start some kind of income stream. I don't know. So that's kind of why I'm here with you today to just see like if this could be a viable thing for me.
Very, very subtle here, but what she's doing is she's subconsciously putting the responsibility onto me, right? That's why I'm here. That's why I want to see if what you guys have to offer can be viable for me. And so, an average sales rep, which is not you, again, that's why you're here, an average sales rep is going to hear that and think, oh, I need to pitch my ass off, right? I need to make this a no brainer. Part of that is correct, but she also needs to take ownership.
Okay, so buying a business is one thing. What else have you researched on?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I've been in this space for so long. I'm familiar with a lot of different avenues of just ways to make income, and I've explored some different ones. I don't know. Where I'm at right now is just the video space, and I know I don't want to be on video, but just the potential with it, So I've done a little bit of
Yeah.
research in that. But yeah, other than just reading a lot of books, looking at a lot of different things, trying to keep my mind open to all the different possibilities before I land on something.
Keep your mind open on possibilities and reading a bunch of books. Come on, come on. I hope you're still here. I hope I haven't lost you yet. By now, you should be hearing it though. You should be hearing the limiting beliefs. Exactly what we just talked about. I'm gonna show you how to cook this shit though.
And like, again, this is why I like talking to other entrepreneurs because we can get very caught up in like research mode, right? We could get
Oh,
caught
for
up in
sure.
ideas, right? And so this
Slight, subtle little identity frame there. That's why I like talking to people like you. That's why I like talking to entrepreneurs like yourself.
this is coming from a good place, right? But 2 years is a decent amount of time to be researching and reading and keeping your mind open without acting, right? And so again, coming from a good place, like what do you think has prevented you from actually taking action on one of them?
Wanting to know I have the right one to take action on because I've spent so many years in the space that I'm in. I don't want to build something else again that isn't going to scale or grow. So I need
So she just told us, right? She subconsciously just told me, Nick, I have a fear of failure. I don't want to spend all this time and grow something and then it doesn't scale again because she has a past of trying and things not working out. That's what's prevented her from moving forward. If we don't have this conversation right here, she's going to continue researching. She's going to continue thinking until she sees that this is not serving her.
to know whatever I do choose this last time or this time is going to be something somewhat successful and viable because I don't want to put a lot of time and effort into something and it not grow. So I guess my research and all that has been what's a good fit for me, what's a good fit for what I want to pour my time into, and then what's gonna come back to me and all that. So I don't know if I look at it as a negative. Like 2 years, wasn't a full-time job of me researching, but definitely wanting to be solid on something. I'm not somebody who's going to jump into something, give it a try, do a lot of things, and then go, oh, that's not for me. I want to know that, okay, I'm committed to this, and this is what I'm doing now.
So she's defending her position here, right? She's defending her position. She's saying, well, 2 years isn't really that bad. Again, if she continues doing that, if I allow her to do that, and she doesn't own the fact that research isn't enough, there's nothing stopping her from continuing to do research, even at the end of this call right here.
Okay. Okay. Is it okay if I offer a perspective?
You got to be able to set them up before you reframe them, right? Is it okay if I offer a perspective? Can I show you a different way of looking at it? Anytime you hear me say something like that, just know I'm about to cook. So don't let that go over your head again.
100%.
Yeah. So when you say like the right thing, right? Like I'll put it this way. This is gonna sound like a super left field example, just bear with me. Right? Let's say you're super overweight, you know you need to lose weight. And so you go through this rabbit hole of doing a bunch of research, right? The best diets, the best workout routines, the best cardio to follow. And on paper, you have the perfect workout routine that it's taken you some time to develop,
Yeah.
but then you still look the same.
Ooh, we're cooking. We're cooking. Now her face is going to be blurred here, but she's starting to smile a little bit because she knows that I'm cooking, right? She knows that what she's done hasn't been enough and it's going to be really hard to take accountability and ownership over, but it's all good. That's why she's got me here. Now, this is step 3, right? First, what steps would you say you've done? What's prevented you from taking steps outside of research, outside of thinking? And then we give her the overweight example right there. Now we're about to plant an idea.
Right. So like when we look at your situation and seeing that we've been researching and trying to find the perfect vehicle, is it fair to say maybe there's been a little bit of paralysis analysis there?
100%. Yeah.
Ooh, got her ass. She owned it, but we're not done.
I feel like in the business that I'm in, it didn't grow, it didn't scale. And so I'm fearful of that next thing doing the same thing and kind of like tanking or the failure, sure.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm being honest, that's 100% honest, yeah.
She's opening up, right? She's being completely honest. Also, to preface, this lady told the setter very vividly, I am not going to move forward on this call. I am only here for information. So she was already protecting herself. And then she said she's been doing research. She tried to protect the fact that she's been doing research as of like, okay. I planted the idea. Well, first I used the fitness analogy, and then I planted the idea that there's been a little bit of process analysis going on, and she owned it. And she told me what's actually going on is she has a fear of failure. Good, Miss Prospect. Now we're gonna help you handle that shit and overcome it.
I respect that. I respect you for that. So is it like a little bit of fear of failure?
Sure, sure. I set out with the idea that this business was going to do something differently, and it didn't do that. So yeah, and like I said, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I've done a few different businesses, and not all of them have been successes. So yeah, you do get to a point sometimes where you get a little jaded, a little nervous, and should I do that or not? Because it's embarrassing sometimes to be the person who keeps trying and keeps failing.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to be the person who keeps going and failing. That is what's kept her stuck. If I didn't ask the series of questions, we wouldn't have even found this out. We would have just left it at I've been doing research.
I understand. I totally get that. I want to say something here that's going to be pretty direct, and I promise I don't mean to offend you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
A lot of times we confuse comfort and fear, right?
Sure.
It's not exactly a fear of failure, right? Because it's been 2 years of research. In fact, what it actually is, from the heart here, is comfort with failure.
Ooh. Ooh, we're cooking, we're cooking, we're cooking. It's comfort with failure. You're comfortable failing, Miss Prospect.
We've been in this place where nothing has changed. We've been researching, we've been thinking, and because we don't want the next thing to fail, we haven't done anything.
Sure.
And so do you see how staying in the same place is in fact even more of a failure than trying something and not working and moving on?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I can see that.
Come on, come on. She's with me. She's with me. I hope you are too.
Yeah. And so like, and this is human, right? But this fear of failure, this way of thinking of I don't want to take a stab at something until I 100% know it's going to work. Do you think that way of thinking is serving you the best, or should we maybe start to let go of that?
So now we are on step 5, right? So ask her what she's done. We did that, right? What's prevented her from doing more? Give her an analogy. Plant the idea that what she's doing hasn't been serving her. Show her that what she's been doing has actually been failing, which is her biggest fear. Now we're gonna empower her to overcome it.
I agree. It's not the best way to approach it. Yeah.
So she just took a little ownership there. She said, I agree. It's not the best way to approach it. It's good.
Again, a lot of people would run away from that, right? And so the fact that you're not, you're smart for that. It says a lot about you. That fear.
Another subtle little identity frame there, right? You want to reward people when they start to say things that are in alignment with the frame that you're setting. You want to reward them. That way, they're going to continue being in alignment with that frame, which, of course, that's good for you getting the sale. But more importantly than you making a couple $100s, this is how she's going to fucking get out of her own way and actually see the results that she wants. This is what's holding her back. This is the conversation that it's your responsibility to have with her.
Fear of failure. I'm not saying it'll happen tomorrow or the next day, but that's the catalyst to change. Like, are you ready to overcome that way of thinking, taking a stab at something, even if it's not here, even if it's not perfect, even if you're not 100% comfortable? Like, are you ready to overcome that fear of that?
This is really important to say, even if it's not here, because where I don't want her brain to go is, oh, well, he's saying this so I can buy the program. Fuck the program. I am saying this so that you can overcome this way of thinking. Now, the program potentially could be a bridge, but it could potentially not. Right? A lot of times you guys will try to say something like this and they'll put the responsibility right back on you. Oh, well, I don't even know what you guys offer. Well, I don't even know how much it costs. Fuck the program. I'm asking, are you ready to overcome that way of thinking? Not, are you ready to buy? Very, very different.
That fear of failure and that way of thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, why now?
I don't know. I think I just like I wrapped up a bunch of work projects. You know, our back to school season is in full swing. I had a lot of sponsored work I did. I wrapped that up, and I'm just now at a point where I have time, and I guess that's kind of why it's now. And I don't want to go out and pitch myself for more school related work. I figure if I'm gonna hustle anything, I'd rather start the new thing now.
That's not a good enough answer. She just gave me something external, right? Again, it's because I fucking know what I'm listening for, guys. She just gave me something external here. She said the reason that I'm ready to overcome it is because I just wrapped up a bunch of projects, and ultimately I have more time. More time has opened up. Hell no, we're not going to settle for that. Let's see where we take it.
Good, good. Let's dig a layer deeper though, right? Because again, like over the last few years, I'm sure there's been spurts of moments where we have time and then things get filled up, right? But the main thing here that we're identifying is fear of failure and like overcoming and letting go of that fear of failure that's been in the driver's seat. And so when it comes to letting go of that, like what do you think is different now that you're ready to have the internal conversation and not letting that way of thinking control you? Like what's different there?
Come on, I'm going to re-ask the question until I get the answer I'm looking for. Come on.
The only different thing that I feel right now is just a vibe in the sense that I do want to change, like I said, just kind of the niche, the area, the space that I'm in. I feel like I've just kind of outgrown where I'm at in that respect. And I am ready to try something new.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do feel I'm to that level, just of my current situation that I'm like, I want to transfer myself into something different.
Good, good.
So yeah, I do
Like
feel
you mean
that.
that. You sound like you mean that. I can hear it, right? 'Cause,
Yeah.
again, we're having a tough conversation here that's important. If we really look at that perspective that you've held on to, what has that costed you so far?
So she's taken some kind of ownership. It's not like 100% what I would like, but it's enough to be able to give me the ammo that I need if she were to give me the objection, right? But in order to create even more urgency, because I could tell she's not fully owning it, is I'm asking the question of, well, what has that costed you so far? I'm allowing her to sit in the pain even more. I'm allowing her to see how this way of thinking, how it just doesn't make any fucking sense if she actually wants to see the success that she wants.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It could have been the last 2 years. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And our brains are a funny place, right? Like part of you knows this isn't good for her. She knows it's not serving her, but there's also the side of you, like I said, that's comfortable, right? That's comfortable. And so like if that way of thinking were to show itself, the paralysis analysis, the fear of failure, would we as your coaches have your permission to keeping you accountable and empowering you to overcome that?
I'm always 100% on board for that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Are you sure I'm not always this nice?
Yeah, I am sure. I'm not easily offended or like you can't really hurt my feelings when it comes to business because I want to learn and I want to grow. So that's, yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Boom. Now I got her to take ownership over the shit that has not been serving her. She's seen what it's costed her. She's given me permission to keep her accountable, which in other words is objection handling her. And she said that she wants to grow and she wants to learn. And she knows that she's going to have to step out of her comfort zone in order to do that. So we got to the end of the call. We had maybe 2 minutes of objection handling to figure out logistics. That fear showed itself a little bit and I was still able to get her over the line because of the foundation I had set here. That is a different call for another day to review. If you want me to review that call, comment the word objection and I'll know. But to be real with you, the objection handling was the minority of why this deal closed. It was because of this. And a big reason of why your deals are not closing is because you're not having this. So this is really powerful shit. Watch this back. Take notes. Again, there's 7 key things that you need to hit to get someone to own their situation. You need to get context around why their situation is so shit in the first place. And then step 1 is asking them what they've done to overcome it. Step 2 is asking them what's prevented them from doing more than just research or more than just thinking about it or more than just whatever excuse that they're going to give you that's going to be in alignment with what we talked about earlier. You're going to ask what's prevented her from doing that, and you're looking for the limiting belief. Once you get the limiting belief, number 3 is to use the overweight analogy, right? The fitness analogy of the fat person is going to be better off going to the gym, even if they don't know what they're doing, than doing nothing. Step 4, you're going to plant the idea of paralysis analysis or of fear of failure, whatever is the most relevant. You're going to show her that this way of thinking has not served her. You're going to ask her if she's ready to overcome that way of thinking, why now to overcome it, and do I have permission to keep you accountable? Follow these 7 steps. The next time you have someone who's been struggling with procrastination and just delaying action, collect more cash and have way less objection battles, do way less follow-up because you're going to get more one-call closes, and then you could cut me some of that commission check. I'll take 10% of your comms. But anyways, guys, if you got value out of this and you want to see me do more breakdowns like this, just comment the word procrastinate below so I know that y'all are fucking with it. If you made it this far, again, thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Click the link below to see if you apply for one-on-one coaching. And if not, I will see you in the next one.